Hello, everyone. I'm John. I'm walking like I shit my pants. I haven't. I've got really bad calf muscles and I'm 17 and a half stone to deal with it. I'm from Don't Cry Wolf. We're a brand activism agency, a certified B Corp as well. If you want to heckle and stuff like that, you can. I'm very happy to deal with you in the crowd, but I prefer it online where I can hide behind a keyboard and be much more brutal in my responses. And yeah, you can find us on here. I thought I'd share a few observations from today. Firstly, you're all looking as if I'm going to do something really, really like inspirational, or we're going to get into that mode again. It's not. This is going to be a sweary, sweaty mess of a presentation, so you're just going to have to come with me on this journey. I am not one of those creative, I call them creative, but I'm not one of those creatives who's like gets really in touch with it and loves the sort of, let's gather around the circle and share with things, and I thought I was doing really well today. I really did. I loved it to begin with. I was sort of, you know, the bit where we stood back to back, I had a chat with Emma, and I was like, you own this bit, this hotel. And I was like, I love it, it's brilliant. And my brain was going, well done, John. It's round one. This is a good fest with Matt Hocking involved. There's going to be a shit ton of fucking cuddling and all sorts of other. That's round one. Right. What's next? Well, we know what was next. That was intense for me, right? Go outside, fine, went outside. I like it, I like outside, it's good. Stand in a circle, I was like, all right, this is getting there, we're going to... And then meet someone and sort of open up. I was like, okay, this is the moment. And we did. And we had a wonderful little chat. And we really opened up. And actually, it was just a really profound moment. I was like, do you know what? I'm acing this. Like, I'm discovering levels to myself which I never thought. And then it was the sitting bit, or the standing, or whatever. There's other people doing other things. Matt just had a massive grin on his face, with the sun glistening off of his teeth. It was magnificent.
Can I just say what you were doing?
Yeah, and I just sat there like that, right? And all the while, my brain is going, in my mind is going, you're doing it well, John. You're crushing this. Like, you're 2 steps away from living in a tree house and sort of just, you know, just being very, very meditative about the world. I was like, right, okay, so just process those feelings. We've got to write them down. We've got to turn it into fucking poetry afterwards as well. So we've got to write them down. And then my brain was like, I'm going to really stick you up there. Right. And it just started playing a Mumford and Sons song. Just out of nowhere. And I thought, all right, that needs to go away so I can really connect with, you know, surrounded. Right, just kept going. So the only thing I had on the piece of paper, this is where it all failed, was you Mumford and Sons wanker. That was my journey. Anyway, that's nothing to do with what I'm going to talk about. Sorry, I just want to share with you. Thank you very much. So what I am going to talk about is this. Sticking feathers up your arse does not make you a chicken. It's a very important phrase for me. And it was one that was coined by this chap. Not Brad Pitt, but the character he portrays in this film. What film is this? What character is it? Tyler Durden, right? Anyone's core spiritual leader, any well-balanced person, will have Tyler Durden as their spiritual and philosophical sort of leader and source of inspiration. The reason why I looked at my title for this presentation, I thought I need to come up with something meaningful, but maybe a little bit corporate, a little bit kind of, you know. So I thought, oh well, you know, the truth, or, you know, being authentic in the climate crisis. I was like, actually, fucking hell, do you know what? I'm getting really pissed off with the sort of the posturing and the sense of kind of self-indulgent campaigns that we're seeing left, right, and centre. I work in PR and advertising and comms, and I'm just, you know, if I see another fucking bamboo coffee cup being sort of branded, I'm going to lose my mind. So it is, you know, sticking feathers up your arse does not make you a chicken. It's more important than ever before, I think. Well, I think we all know now that we don't add to the noise and the hot air and the misinformation and disinformation that's out there, because, facts, we know we've got like a fairly short period of time to sort our shit out, right? So we need to do this authentically. We need to do this with a bit of evidence backing us up as well, so we're not just sort of waxing lyrical and instead actually kind of giving ourselves an opportunity to build from a platform of strength. And so I commissioned some research to take a look at, like, where are we now in this idea of misinformation? Where are we now in this concept of, you know, how are brands and people who work for brands and the public kind of responding to misinformation, truth, facts, and are they communicating more authentically? So I went to a market research company and I was like, right, I want to speak to 2,000 members of the public, and then I want to speak to a few hundred businesses and a couple of hundred professionals working within those businesses. And I'm going to share with you some of the things that came up from this, and hopefully it will spark some ideas and maybe we'll have a chat about it. First and foremost, 71% of the people who are working with clients said that they've seen their clients jump on a bandwagon without thought, just, yeah, we're going to get involved in this. I tell you what, this happens, we were talking about this the other day, this happens every year during Pride. Every year during Pride. Every fucking year during Pride. It's like, oh, this is the day that I care about gay people, so I'm going to put a rainbow on my Instagram page and then fuck it off for the rest of the year. Bandwagoning. Does nothing, no meaningful change, nothing like that. It's just like, well, we have to do this because social media's told us to. There was a moment during the heat of the Black Lives Matter rallies, voice being heard, where everyone thought, should we look at our internal diversity policies, or should we put a black square on our Instagram page? And what do they do? Black square on the Instagram page. Oh, that's bandwagoning. Brilliant, we're done. What do you mean diversity policy? Look, it's on Instagram. It's fucking real. Nonsense, right? About half of clients, they reckon, are totally misinformed, especially when it comes to things like the climate crisis, probably in other areas like around diversity, inclusion, equity. Half of the clients are misinformed. So what does that mean? What does that make your role? To inform them. Right? It's not to come up with, it's not to receive a brief and like some fucking creative conveyor belt spit out some sort of creative solution to it. It's to pause for a moment and to say, well, okay, where's your evidence for this? And actually, this is the situation, this is the area that you should be focusing on. And perhaps for a moment, spend a little bit of time making your own house in order before we go out spending, socialising the content that we think is just so justified to do so. 45%, that's bullshit, it's way higher than that, people lie on surveys. 45% say that they've seen, well, they've just admitted they've seen greenwash in their own organisations. Folks, this is 2022 research. This is fucking alarming, right? If this is the state of professionals and creatives and what they're sharing with us and saying this is what they're seeing from their clients, from the people that's paying them their money, from their bosses, from their leadership teams, we have a real problem in comms and creative and marketing and advertising. We genuinely have a real problem. And I think one of the sort of stepping stones in this is knowing what that kind of problem is internally first. I've broken your clicker. I've been gripping it with such brutal force. Because you can't fix what you haven't measured, right? You can't fix what you haven't measured. So before you go off gallivanting around, sort of spraying content all over the place, probably understand what that's going to actually do, what impact that might have, what's the effect. So I thought, okay, well, do they measure things, right? If they're talking about the climate crisis, you know, all of the FTSE 100, by the way, have a net zero policy. All of them. 7% report on them, but all of them have a net zero policy. Fantastic. So they must be measuring, right? Because if you've got a net zero policy, fuck, you're going to be measuring this. Almost 60% don't do any carbon footprinting whatsoever in organisations. About 60%. Less than a quarter set science-based targets. Again, I think that's bollocks. I think most probably won't even know what science-based targets are. Genuinely. But 60%? Not even doing basic carbon reporting? Does that feel right? You know, these are organisations that are breathlessly falling over themselves to tell you how greener you are. Well, they are. And yet they're not measuring the sort of metrics that will determine whether they're on the right path. So why do they create the campaigns? I'm a terrible business person, by the way. I spend up most of my time as an agency leader standing up and saying, you shouldn't do any fucking creative campaigns, you arseholes. We're here. But seriously, like, how can we sit there and think that? How do you think that's acceptable? If you're not measuring this, why are you talking about it? Why are you making these claims? Why are you putting together these campaigns? And in fact, those that are measuring it, I'm starting to have an annoyance with as well. Yesterday I was at a conference. Wasn't I, Paul and Jenny? Paul and Jenny here, by the way, fantastic people, know their fucking onions in this space, and put on a fab conference yesterday for Greenworks. But I was there, and South West Water took to the stage, which usually gets me sort of a bit like twitching anyways, and I was kind of in this sort of, but do I hit him? I don't know. Do I just leap up and sort of just hold him so he doesn't do any more damage? But South West Water took to the stage, right? And he was, I've never seen so many graphs on a presentation in my entire life. Never. And they looked wonderful. They looked bright and luminescent and sort of things going down and up, and it looked fantastic. And this was their carbon report, right? It was, you know, and we're going to take our diesel vans and we're going to make them green, and then, you know, everything will be replaced with unicorn poo, and it will just be amazing, right? Some of the graphs, he genuinely stood up. Was this the sustainability guy? Yeah. Stood up and said, I don't really know, or this doesn't really tell you much. Well, why the fuck are you showing it then? Because it looks cool, right? Because he's sharing the carbon footprint report with you. And that's his job done, surely. Yeah? About 20 minutes, half hour after he took the stage, Cornwall Wildlife Trust took to the stage and said, seagrass meadows are deteriorating at an alarming rate. They are carbon sinks for us. They hold that carbon in place. They don't let it go. They hold that carbon in place. They're deteriorating at an alarming rate. We're partnering with Sea Salt to help try and protect what remaining seagrass we've got left, to try and invigorate that growth. What is the number one thing that contributes to the decline in seagrass? Sewage, pollution. Pollution in marine coastal habitats. And what was the one thing that South West Water's head of sustainability would not talk about? Because he's giving you a one-dimensional insight into this world. You want a carbon footprint report? Done. There you go. And our van is going to be green. Fantastic. In 8 years, our van will be green. And between that time, we're going to keep pulling in rivers and everything will be diesel. This is one-dimensional reporting. We have got to get braver about being transparent. I would be far more welcoming of these. I think, by the way, South West Water has also failed for the last 10 years in a row on its environmental targets. And they're stood up talking about their carbon footprint. This is a problem that we're having. It's one-dimensional reporting. I would embrace, I would love, I would adore organisations who stood up and said, this is us, warts and all. And we have got shitloads of work to do, and we have messed up in hundreds of different places. But this is us now. How much more respect would we have for them? Why are we having the wool pulled over our eyes? Why are we letting that happen? Why are we having someone stand up and say, here's a graph, you won't get anything out of it. Enjoy. Absurd. This is the challenge. This is the challenge. We need to be fearlessly transparent if we're going to make this work. Fearlessly transparent. We're also done with these. Big global summits. I'm doing your master's at Exeter University. In spare time, knock that out. I'm doing a master's at Exeter University, and I'm forced to read academic papers, right? But I actually quite like it. I'm sort of a bit of a weirdo with that sort of stuff. There was an academic paper from 2003 that basically highlighted this one very clear thing. Global conferences, global gatherings of people saying this is the direction we're going, ain't nowhere near as effective as local community-based action. And what we have been spending our time doing during this crisis is a fucking applauding every year at COP25, 6s, 7s, whatever it might be, and going, oh, thank goodness, they fixed it. And then on a local level, oh, don't worry, it's fine, because in Glasgow they said it was all okay, and they're doing it, so I don't need to. We have got to get out of this psyche, and this is the reason why. 57% of Brits don't know what the COP26 outcome is. 66% said COP didn't have any impact on them whatsoever. And over half have no idea what the UK has done since the last COP. This is not getting through. Global agenda setting is not getting through. It's grassroots activism. It's working within your communities. It's collaborating as human beings together. It's working with farmers, fishermen, creatives, whatever it might be. But it has to be done on a local level now. Because they ain't going to sort this shit out for us. Because they've been talking for years and years and years and years, and it's been going one way. And it's up to us to try and influence that. If you're working with brands and organisations that have got the power and the resource and the money to make a difference, look at the community-based projects that you can do. Don't just turn up to COP and wave another fucking flag around. Right? Don't just spend another 150 grand to sponsor a billboard outside of some obscure event venue. Work at the grassroots. Agitate that change at a local level, because that's what counts. Essentially, people want you to be involved. Right? It's not like as consumers are sat there thinking, oh, well, businesses, you just move to one side. Far from it, in fact. Businesses, organisations, professionals, they expect you to be involved. Mainly because they've been let down by the government. Mainly because they've been let down by the institutions that they put their trust in. So they have to turn to people like us and to organisations and to brands across the world to help step in where they've been left aside. And we know this. We know that there's a rise in climate concern, about 20% rise in climate concern each year. So people are getting more and more and more and more anxious. They know it's on the radar. There isn't much discussion taking place now around, well, I don't believe it. They know it's happening, it's getting there, it's penetrating the psyche from that perspective. 65% believe we're not doing enough. They know things are going wrong. They know things are going south. But over 70% believe that brands can step up. They actually want to give you the agency to do this. Another thing that I'm concerned about, I'm angry about lots of things, you can tell. But one of the things that I'm getting worried about, I'm getting concerned about, is around EV, I've got to say. Right? IPCC report made it really clear. It's not about switching to electric. It's about halving the number of cars in total. We're currently on a rate where it's going to be growing globally by about 78%. It is not about BMW putting out another ad to say, don't worry about that one, buy that one. It's about BMW, Mercedes, Volkswagen coming together and saying, let's look at carpooling, let's look at car sharing, let's revolutionise public transport. This is the challenge that we're facing, folks, and this is the way in which brands can collaborate, work together to deliver on that. I genuinely, passionately feel that brands have power to do this, that businesses have power to do this, and it's creators like you.
Sorry, mate. It's one of your talks.
You just... Cheeky bastards watching Netflix whilst I'm doing the talk. It's amazing. He's watching. What are you watching? Stick it on the screen. Don't worry about it. Watch. You know, we do. Seriously, we have this responsibility, folks, and actually, I think it can work. We've heard from some super powerful brands today. I was literally going to go and lick Patagonia. Oh, more, what do you mean you've got bailout funds as well? You bastards. You just hear us all audibly going, oh, yeah, it's absurd, right? That is a powerful brand, and it is leading the way, but we don't all have to be like Patagonia, because that obviously has an extraordinary moment in its time, with an extraordinary leadership team that is delivering on its promises. But we can do other things. We can work together. We can, as a creative team, sit down and think, actually, who can we bring on board with this campaign that is perhaps even a competitor, but at a local level will make a really, really important change that might be replicated by 7, 8, 20, 100 other brands out there. How do we work in that space rather than selling more shit to more motherfuckers? Because that's not going to work. And we've got to change the way we measure ourselves in the effectiveness of our campaigns and our creative work. But this is one of the core things that we've not got right, and it's our fault. All of us have been sat here today in a very pleasant room, slightly hot now, very pleasant room, being well fed, well looked after. We had a moment on a beautiful, beautiful vista. We are the fucking minority, right? And it is all well and good us sort of standing here, holding hands and thinking how wonderful this is that we are, and it can be almost disarming, like we're all moving towards this tremendous future, this epic future. But we have missed a lot of people along the way. There are people who are going out every day to get that tenner in their hand because they don't have a choice about what car they drive or what coffee they pick up or even what receptacle that coffee is in. And we have left them out. As creatives, we have left them out in the conversation. And that is our fault. We have got to rectify that super quick. Super, super quick. I want to see more marches about social equity. I want to see more protests around the inclusivity of what a green environment could look like. Not another one saying to someone who can't afford to piss in a pot, you should probably consider what fashion choices you're making. Because that is not going to resonate anymore. Especially with the fucking shitheads, that we have in government today. It's going to get worse and worse and worse and worse for those people, for the majority. Don't even get me started on the global south, which we completely left behind. We have to make this a more inclusive environment. Why? Because people consider poverty the most pressing issue. Not climate change, poverty. People living destitute is what they consider the most pressing issue. We have to, as creatives, work on messaging and creative activation that showcases a green future is a better future from a socio-economic perspective, from a jobs perspective. That is what we have to get right. Not, it will be better because the planet will cool down, things like that. They're getting that. But when you're sat there making the choice of do I eat or do my kids eat, they want to hear about more jobs, more money. They want to hear about more security. They want to hear about better education, a better future. Change that narrative. Focus on the social element. The environmental stuff is starting to get in. It's the social element that they're not getting yet. Their state of life impacts how much they care. A third of people said this. So if they are living in conditions that we wouldn't even dream of, that they would never ever experience anything like this in their lives, let alone flying abroad, then their state of life will prompt them not to give a shit. And we've got to get them to give a shit because it has to be together. When you're thinking about the social campaigns that you're putting out, when you're thinking about the content you're putting out there, make sure it is verified, make sure it is future focused, and give them a sense of actually they are investing in an equitable future. One of the things that people say is, vote with your pound. Don't vote with your pound, vote with your vote. It's free to everyone, right? For now. It's free to everyone. Your vote. It's the one thing everybody has. That every time that that comes around, we should be thinking about making sure that that movement, that nudge is made. Because it doesn't cost them anything. And yet they've been voting, everyone has been voting in a direction that baffles the fuck out of me. We've seen the rise of XR, we've seen the rise of these wonderful movements to try and promote this agenda, and we have alongside it seen the rise of the most corrupt UK government that I've seen in years. Decades, not even in my lifetime. And that is a failure for us to link the dots. Because the vote was free. Finally, invest in your own knowledge. Don't just gung-ho it. I can't believe I'm even saying that, because that's like literally my entire career. But it's too important now. It's why I'm doing more research for myself. It's why I'm trying to invest in the knowledge side of things. Because it's too important to get wrong, or to get criticised, or to be found to be contradictory, or wrong, or incorrect, because then they're like, it's a gotcha. So invest in your own knowledge. Still 20% of people believe that their leaders don't even understand what the crisis is that they're even facing. And 84% think more needs to be done to tackle misinformation. So invest in your own knowledge. If you do that, if you focus on local, if you're fearlessly transparent in your journey, if you're thinking about collaboration and collective activism with other brands, rather than hitting some sort of sales target, we will get this right. Over to you. Thank you.